Fiscal stimulus to avoid a recession. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I have my stein of coffee and I thought we'd have a look at this piece from the ABC because it's discussing the fiscal stimulus that we are looking to have here in Australia to save the economy. So the fight might include income support, tourism stimulus to save the economy. We'll have to see. Because everyone is talking up about how good Rudd's economic intervention was. But you have to realize a lot of it is the broken window fallacy. It incurs a lot of debt for the civilization. That doesn't just materially disappear. You know, you're pushing forward future spending to prop things up, guys. But we'll have to see. Before I read this, what do you think? Do you think there'll be any investment in water, any investment in nuclear? Some of the fundamental things that we should need in our civilization to get cheaper power, to ensure our water security. What do you reckon? Do you think we'll see that? Because I'd love to see that. I would love to see that. I'd cop a whole lot of other crap and inefficiencies that the government's doing, and will do, I guarantee it, to look at some things that will last for generations. Mailing everyone a check doesn't last for generations, guys. So, as the illness continues to spread globally, the form of the Morrison government's economic stimulus package is beginning to take shape. It will not include the Rudd-style cash payments for everyone, so don't expect to receive a $900 check in the mail. Damn it. Rachel got a sewing machine with that last time, and I'm still waiting to get that shirt made. She made one button-up shirt for me, and I wore it to death. I loved it. And yeah, she's too busy now anyway, making kids' clothes. So, we used it for our stimulus. We did. But economists believe some individuals, particularly pensioners and the unemployed, should receive direct payments of some kind. Well, here's the thing. Depending on where you deploy the resources will affect how it's spent. If you're unemployed and just living on New Start, you're probably more likely to use that money to live. Maybe stretch it a bit further if you could. Maybe pay for some dental work that you need. For either of those groups, to be honest. And hard-hit sectors such as tourism and education should receive prompt assistance, while businesses generally help with cash flow. Okay, now, education. The sector most hit in education is the university sector. I'm sure they can trim the fat, honestly. I'm sure they could find some ways to be a little bit more efficient. I know when I was working there, we were paid. Well, we weren't paid at the award rate. We were probably paid below because the hours that we had to do were much greater than what was actually anticipated. It was ludicrous. It really was. You mainly did it for the joy of it, because it was quite rewarding seeing someone, progress up and learn, particularly when the students appreciated it. I still bump into people years later. But, they had so many support staff, so many non-research and non-academic staff at these places, doing paperwork upon paperwork. Maybe QUT could stop with their racial discrimination and all the segregation they have on their campus. That'd be a good idea. You could save some money there. I couldn't believe it, actually. I was involved with a support program for Indigenous students there, and I was talking to one guy, and he was telling me how he was going to the uni games, the Aboriginal-only uni games. And I said, why do they have a separate one? Wouldn't it be better to just have everyone go to the one uni game so you can all meet, mix, and get drunk like students together? But no, not in current year. No, you don't. You want to keep everyone separate. Apparently, that's what you have to do. I guess, I don't know. Just seems strange to me. It seems like the opposite of what you want to achieve in a civilization where you've got multiple cultures coming together. You want everyone to mingle. But, that's probably an old, outdated idea, Florian. You can't have that now. You need to separate everyone. Anyway, back to the actual point of the article. Treasury Secretary Stephen Kennedy said this week that any stimulus package would come in 2 broad phases. The first phase will provide targeted assistance to sectors directly affected by the fallout from the illness, such as the services sector, tourism, and education, to keep businesses open and employees in jobs. The second phase will be directed at households to keep consumer confidence up and household spending. Well, let's have a look. Consumer confidence from February. Not looking too good. The cash rate has just been cut to an insanely low level. I have to keep an eye on the next consumer confidence data, guys. Let us know in the comments. Are you confident? Are you going to go and do more spending? Or is it just for, look at the people fighting over toilet paper. It's ludicrous. Rachel was saying, oh, should we go out tonight? And I went, you know what? There's 3,000 people under quarantine here in Queensland. Why don't we stay in? Let's watch a movie online, or we'll do some work. That's how exciting it gets here sometimes. So I don't know if households are going to keep spending. I don't know. Maybe this might be a boon for the home delivery industry. But then again, we all heard what happened in Italy, didn't we? So Deloitte Access Economics partner Chris Richardson said the federal government would need to assess how big the economic hole is. Implicit in what Treasury said this week, how it would likely take 0.5 points off growth in the March quarter. That means there's a hole of at least 10 billion, he said. I think that's that's before all these other issues were also happening. It's before we had the bushfires causing problems with the tourism industry. We've also, are they accounting for the decline in shipping that's occurring? Guys, let's have a look. We will have a look at live shipping data right now. I'll bring this up. Sorry, I just need to jump to the right screen. We can see here how shipping is going. This is container shipping. So, still moving. Still a lot of flows. But apparently it's coming back. If it slows down, what's going to happen, guys? What's going to happen to our construction industry? Do you reckon 10 billion? 10 billion does not sound like, considering the scale of our tourism industry, guys, and about 12.5 billion of that is just from China. I think it's going to be a much bigger hole than that, than 10 billion. Or are they just talking about the government budget? No, the big economy. We'll have to see. The interest rate cut from the RBA this week will probably tip 1 billion back into the economy. So I'd be happy to see about 4 billion go out in stimulus initially. But it has to be done quickly. What would you do, guys? If you were in the government's position, what would you do? Would you stimulate the economy? Or would you reduce taxes? Or would you ease up certain rules and legislation, perhaps with regards to workplace? What would you do? Maybe some money to households, but no cash splash. Prime Minister said on Friday, announcing a joint fund will be set up to help the states. He said the Commonwealth will immediately put 100 million down as an advance to the states. But we were estimating, based on the advice that we have at the moment, this could be as much as about 1 billion, 500 million each, that we would have to be allowing for. Early Friday, Finance Minister Matthias Cormann told Sky News the government's priority was to support businesses directly affected by the downturn. The government wanted to keep businesses investing and keep their workers in jobs. Why are they putting this line when so much of our investment has just been in housing? There's no drive to get businesses investing. What incentive is there for Australians to run businesses? But Mr. Cormann ruled out Rudd-style cash payments for everyone, saying, we will not be pursuing a cash splash in the reckless Rudd-Gillard fashion, no. For households, Grattan Institute economist Danielle Wood said income tax cuts do not work as well as checks in the mail, but added it was clear the federal government would not be handing Australians $900 cash payments like the Rudd government. How about How about, here's an idea, guys. Here's an idea. How about the government forces all the states to reduce the taxes on petrol? How about that? For 6 months. Petrol taxes cut in half. Cut in half. Or allow people to instantly claim back the tax directly that they pay on any petrol. You can get it back instantly, transferred to your account straight away. How about that? Something like that. What about that? That would go to everyone in one way or another. It'd be pretty efficient. It would work real quick. Every Uber driver would be happy. Every delivery driver would be happy. Everyone going to work would be happy. You'd all save money. I say it's more efficient than cash payments. But then people would realize, here's the problem with that. People would realize how much tax you're actually paying the bastards. That's what the problem would be. They couldn't do that. That'd be letting out the cat out of the bag. Opening up Pandora's box. Wait a minute. I'm paying this much bloody tax on petrol. Why? Where's it going? That's it. That's why. They'd probably even rather send you money. Maybe we should lobby we're having, elections here, state elections, lobby the new premier for that. However, Ms. Wood said there could be other measures aimed at households, such as lifting the New Start allowance. You hit the most disadvantaged sector of households, and they go out and spend. And that's a good case for doing that anyway, she said. Well, no, I think my petrol thing would be better. What about remove all the taxes on these things? What are taxes on cigarettes, on alcohol? Taxes on petrol. Cut those three. That'll be across all of our society. Everyone from someone on New Start to millionaire. They'd all appreciate it. Every bloody person would. But then you'd see how much we're copping it. So, trying to stop Australia's bubble bursting. It's a fitting term, isn't it? We really are in a bubble. International economist and Greece's former foreign minister. Why are we talking to anyone from Greece about anything to do with finance? Seriously. Anyway, Yanis Varoufakis said the illness would unleash economic damage and stimulus was needed, but it may not prevent Australia from dipping into a recession. Now, I know lots of people are saying we already are in a recession. Technically, we're not. You'll know it. Technically, we're not in a recession until we get 2 quarters of negative growth. But that doesn't mean certain sectors of our economy aren't in recession. I would say, I'm just bringing up here, building approvals. I mean, look at that dwelling unit approval seasonal adjustment. Look how sharp that's gone. That's 35% fall. If you're in that industry, if you're in the apartment construction industry, that's a recession. If that goes on for another quarter, it's decreasing, guys. So there definitely are parts of the economy that are in recession, but the reason why, until the government says the R word, they're waiting for those 2 quarters of negative growth. 6 months. So we'll have been suffering for 6 months before they'll actually say it. That's why it feels like they're so late. And the data always comes out late anyway. So, yeah. But no, I think it's inevitable, guys. I really do. It's like aspirin to a dying patient, he said, at an event at the Wheeler Centre in Melbourne on Tuesday night. It's, okay, it can't do any harm. Well, that's questionable. It can do some good, but it's not going to save you if the United States, Europe, and China go pear-shaped. Well, no, of course not. Our country is heavily dependent on China, guys. And I'm bringing up the Observatory of Economic Complexity. This is great. I'm teaching Mina about economy and trade. We just looked at Hong Kong. We compared the complexity of Hong Kong to Australia. And it's quite interesting. We looked at all the shipping stuff. It's funny how doing my YouTube rambling can evolve into homeschooling education. I didn't even realize we were doing a country unit. So, I had to look at what the major exports for Australia were, what they were for Hong Kong, what the differences was, the complexities of it, but how dependent Australia is. 35% of our exports go to China. Then Japan. Then South Korea. Then India. Then Hong Kong. So, Sure. Government stimulus can only do too much. Because remember, we still have to pay for all this. It's not money magic out of anywhere. It's still us that are going to be taxed for it one day, eventually, or our children, or our children's children. You know. He said former Labour Prime Minister Kevin Rudd's short, sharp stimulus was very effective. Not necessarily. There's a lot of building education, revolution buildings that replaced perfectly good buildings, completely demolished for no reason. The government education departments wasted so much money and so much resources just to turn these things out. You had people dying installing insulation because they rushed it. So, yeah. He doesn't know the whole picture. But from that point onwards, the Australian economy is riding on the coattails of the Chinese private credit bubble and public money printed by the major central banks, he said. Now, with the illness creating havoc for major sectors such as tourism and education and disrupting business supply chains, the economy was swiftly contracting. He said, given the underlying economy was a bubble, this may just be the pin that bursted. Perhaps a black swan event. So, an investment allowance on the cards. Ms. Wood said the Morrison government would do whatever it could to stop a recession. That would almost certainly include introducing an investment allowance, which would allow companies to depreciate capital and help improve business cash flow. It creates an incentive to invest, and we think that makes a lot of sense, she said. A big question mark is, will that be enough in an economy hit by coronavirus? It may be that the government is going to have to go further, and then you're looking at things like interest-free loans for businesses. She said to stop the economy from entering recession, technically measured as 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth, the government would have to throw tens of billions of dollars at stimulus measures. It will need to be sizable, Ms. Wood said. There you go. A well-structured, long enough stimulus package could save us from recession. Do we want to be saved from recession? If this is the price, huge amounts of government debt, what else could be done? EY chief economist Joe Masters agreed there would likely be an investment allowance and there could be other incentives to encourage private firms to invest. But why would you invest? Here's the thing. You're going to invest, well, as a business owner, you should just invest if there is a reason for the capex, for the capital expenditure. You shouldn't invest to get the tax deduction or to be able to depreciate it faster. Because then, you know, if you invest in some new equipment, if you invest in a point cloud scanner like I did, for us, we invested in it, you know, because we'd won a huge job and that pretty much funded at least half of it. And the rest was, well, now I don't need an assistant to go and do any measure ups. I get more information. I lease out the equipment. It's on, you know, someone's borrowing it right now. It's earning me money. So, but would you be investing now? Or will this just prop up businesses that are on their knees? And maybe should the businesses shut down for a period? People need to find something else. What's going to happen, guys? Or are people going to be hit so hard because they're so not prepared? Like in the previous video I did, everyone's saying it's unreasonable for me to expect someone to have a buffer 2 weeks. Which scares the hell out of me more than anything. I think that should be talked about in the nightly news. You know, how many people are living paycheck to paycheck in Australia? Are we as bad as the Americans? We're probably worse. How can we fix that? That's the question. Anyway. We know when businesses are uncertain, investment are things businesses hold back on. Bloody oath. We might also see something about R&D. I've got very little confidence in the R&D sector in government. Ever since my landlord, who was an industrial designer, built an extension on the back of his building, claimed that all his R&D credits, got more money back than he spent cutting some perforated holes in a funky piece of crap that he attached on there. I have no confidence in it. Seeing that could generate R&D money from the government. That's tax dollars that comes out of individuals, stolen out of individuals' pay, to pay a millionaire to stick a piece of shit on the back of a building, because that was research and development. So, I mean, here's the thing. I understand a business person taking advantage of it, full respect for that. If the government is stupid enough to implement this bloody thing, I don't blame you for doing it. But we need to make sure our government isn't that stupid. People need to be made aware of it. Because they're just going, oh, yeah, I like research. That's good. Smart people will figure that out. There's a lot of crap, guys. I need to do a video just looking at some of the stupid research grants that are out there. Oh, boy. But she said whatever measures are introduced, there will still have to be a business case for them. No, it won't. Rubbish. There's no business case for the $10,000 cash limit, is there? Business case. Come on, that's cute. You don't have that in government. And there will likely be a measure... Yeah, anyway. It's really about making sure the contraction is as short-lived as it can be, so we don't hit a recession, Miss Masters said. If you can do things that generate jobs or security, that helps the consumer confidence element. There may be a little more infrastructure spending. Too bad so many of our construction materials are imported. The federal government may ask the states what infrastructure projects are shovel-ready, in that they can be rolled out quickly. That's the thing. Shovel-ready is not an easy thing to achieve. Ms. Wood said money could also be targeted at specific business sectors such as tourism. Some short-term measures may be necessary for the tourism sector, she said. Tourism has already been hit by the bushfires, so this illness will be a double whammy for the sector. Okay, here's the thing, guys. Would you invest your own personal money in any tourist business now? Would you do it? Would you buy shares in a tourist business now? Or would you wait for it to crash even further? Do you think it's a loss? Are you buying stock in cruise companies right now? Would you invest in it? Should the government invest our money in it? Because that's what they're doing. So health and jobs are key. Mr. Richards said the stimulus package will need to focus on three things. People, which is health, business, and confidence, which is households. He said on health, direct financial assistance may be directed towards nursing homes and special assistance such as supplies to cruise ships with sick passengers stuck on board. The government will need to think widely. It's a moment to not be stuck inside silos, he said. Mr. Richards said businesses could be helped with wage subsidies or by delaying when taxes need to be paid, but this was a tricky area. Actually identifying which businesses needed help is really hard, he said. Just go regions. Just go regions of the country and allow all businesses maybe tax exemption for 6 months or 12 months. Or they don't have to pay their GST for half a year. Even that would be good. The bureaucratic choice is, do we give assistance to a lot of businesses fast, or do we create a system where businesses have to apply for the money, which will be slower, but some businesses will get more money? Oh, this sounds like a nightmare. This sounds like a complete and utter nightmare. But he said the most important element of the stimulus package was keeping households and business confidence up. Will it, though? If we have a government pushing out this, will it lift anyone's confidence, guys? The success or otherwise of anything depends on the ability of the government and the media and Australians generally to keep everyone's confidence high. It's too late. Our confidence has already been dashed by the cash rate after cash rate after cash rate cut. This is just another thing. And he says that the biggest threat is panic, and we're seeing that. We're seeing that now. We're seeing people fight in shopping centres over toilet paper. It's pathetic. The most vital bucket is the one that predicts confidence. Well, you've lost that already. On Friday, new figures released showed retail sales had fallen for 2 consecutive months by 0.3% in Jan, 0.9% in December, pushing the probability of a contraction in GDP in the March quarter slightly higher. Commonwealth Bank economist Gareth Arid said the retail sector has had to contend for several years with weak growth in household income. Well, yeah, a few years. And higher household debt weighs on the spending capacity of consumers. More recently, retailers have been hit by bushfires, and now the global shock, which will weigh significantly on aggregate demand, he warns. Well, there you go. And Nassim Kadem was engaged by the Wheeler Center to host the event with Yanis Varoufakis. Okay, so it was an event with Yanis. What do you think, guys? What do you think? Do you think a stimulus will work? Or is it going to be a repeat of the broken window fallacy? Or do you think people don't care? They just want to see the government doing some action. What would you do, guys? What would you suggest? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below, guys. Thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and you want to support us, there are a few ways you can. You can share the content, get the videos out there, help the channel grow. We're over 11,000 subscribers now. Thank you all very much for joining. You can also support us by joining the channel here on YouTube as a member. You get access to badges and emojis. We also have a Patreon where you can make a small monthly donation, and affiliate links with Amazon and eBay for your consumer purchases. Because frankly, a lot of people aren't going out shopping now. We have affiliate links also with Independent Reserve and Kucoin for the crypto traders out there. Merch that we have handmade right here in this house, available from the HeiseSays website. And finally, PayPal if you want to support us that way. Thank you all very much. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.